Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Tune Project. Today I'll be teaching you how to play a Celtic tune called the Lilting Banshee on the fiddle, so stay tuned. If you end up enjoying this video and finding it to be helpful, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up below, and if you're not yet subscribed to the Tune Project, I post videos just like this one every week, so consider hitting that red subscribe button below along with the notification bell so that you never miss when I upload a new video. As always, the timestamps are marked in case you'd like to skip around, and if my pacing is a little too slow or a little too fast for you, feel free to adjust the speed in your video settings. Now grab your fiddle, and let's get into it. This tune is a jig in 6/8 time, and we have an A part and a B part, each of those repeats, and we're going to be breaking each of those sections into 4 phrases, and here is the first phrase. A little bit of back and forth there between the A and D strings. Next we move to the A string, starting with our first finger B. Okay, so a little descending pattern there, going all the way down to open D. And this third phrase is exactly the same as the first phrase, so this will be a good little review for you, and hopefully you recognize these notes. Okay, and the next phrase starts the same as the second phrase, but it ends a little differently, so be sure to listen for these notes here. And that is the whole A section, so what we would do if we were playing this tune in real time is we would go back to the beginning and repeat that whole section before moving on to the B part. But for now, since we're just learning, let's go ahead and play it together at a slow tempo, just to make sure that you caught all of those notes and rhythms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, now moving on to this B part, we are starting on the E string with an open E. If you're watching closely, you might have noticed that I am doing a double up bow every time we have a quarter note to an eighth note. And the reason I'm doing that is so that we land on a down bow for the next phrase. You're more than welcome to do that as well, otherwise you can continue with the down up bow pattern. Here's our second phrase of the B part, starting with a B on the A string. And just like in the A section, this third phrase is the same as our first phrase, and it goes like this. And our last phrase goes like this. And that was the whole B part. So now let's go ahead and play it all together at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello patrons, thanks for joining me here today. Let's talk about some ways that we can make the Lilting Banshee a little bit more interesting and some ornaments that we can throw into it. The ornament that we're going to be focusing specifically on today, and one of my favorite Irish ornaments to use, is the flick. And we see that in this first phrase, which I'll go ahead and play with a flick added so that you can hear how it goes. So getting into the second measure of that phrase, what I did was I used my third finger to flick the A string, and we had a slur going from that A the D flick, and then the next note, which is B. So all of that was on the same bow. For this next phrase, we're going to be adding in a couple of slurs to really enhance the rhythm of this phrase. So the slurs that I incorporated into that phrase were going from the first measure into the second measure, where we have the B to the D, and then at the end of the phrase where we have an E to an open D. And that brings us to a down bow for our third phrase, where we're going to be adding in that same third finger flick that we had in the first phrase. And as a reminder, it goes like this. Okay, so same thing there, no changes from the first phrase. And then for this last phrase of the A part, we're going to be adding in one slur. And I'll show you how that goes. Okay, so again, we slurred the B to the D on an up bow, getting into the second measure of that phrase. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and play that whole A section with the added ornaments, and you're welcome to play along with me if you would like. Alright, so getting into this B part, let's see what ornaments we can throw in here. So to begin, we're going to be starting with a little pickup note on open A on an up bow, and it does have a stylistic purpose, but it's mainly so that we can end up on a down bow for the open E. And then we're going to be adding in a flick here as well, so I'll go ahead and play this first phrase for you so you can hear how it sounds. Okay, so what I did there, in addition to that added A at the very beginning, I added in a flick with my fourth finger B, again, very, very quick, and we are slurring that flick note into the A. And getting into this second phrase of the B part, we're going to be slurring that last note that we just played, the A, into the first note B, and the rest of the phrase sounds like this. Okay, so a couple of things going on there. Like I said, we had that slur in the very beginning getting into the phrase, and then we have another slur going from our B to the D, and then a third slur, which is really just for the sake of another flick that we have going from the A to G. So again, we're using our third finger to flick the E string. So as I mentioned, we had that first slur getting into the phrase, and then we have another slur going from our B to D, and then we have a flick which we're slurring into the G, and the flick is with our third finger on the E string. And that puts us again on a down bow for the next phrase, where we're going to be doing the same thing that we did in the first phrase. So we've got our down bow E, we're not adding in that extra A note that we did in the first phrase, but everything else is the same. And again, that sounds like this. Okay, and again, for this last phrase, just like we did in the third phrase, we're going to be slurring into the first note, which is B, and I'll go ahead and include the last note A of the previous phrase so you can see the slur. And then the second slur, again, was from the B to the D. So now I'll go ahead and play that whole B part for you with the added slurs and ornaments so that you can see and hear how everything is put together. Well, congratulations for learning the Lilting Banshee with me today. I really hope you enjoyed that one, and I hope you enjoyed also learning how to incorporate some ornaments and slurs into this tune. Once you're comfortable with the notes and the ornaments that we added, I would encourage you to work up the speed so that you can find a slightly faster tempo that feels comfortable for you. And if you'd like to take a look at the sheet music, it is available in my digital sheet music library on my website, and the link for that is in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for your continued support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Happy practicing!